His days coaching on the sidelines of Kentucky are captured in still photographs. The Bear. He left Lexington with that all-time winning record in 1954.
Why do you think he's still talked about in such a big fashion?
Well, you know, Doug, until recently, those are the most winning years in UK football history.
Black and white on the sidelines in Lexington. But Paul Bear Bryant was a football coach bigger than life in more ways than one.
How many of us can remember hearing the name Bear Bryant as a kid?
Everybody.
Lots of us.
Our fathers played for him.
My name is John Cook, and my dad was Joe Cook.
My name is David Cook, and my dad was Joe Cook.
And my name is Doug Proffitt. My dad, Jim, played along with Joe Cook, his best friend, for Bear Bryant at the University of Kentucky from 1950 to 1954. When my dad died in 2018, he was the last living member of Bryant's winning Kentucky Cotton Bowl team.
My name is Brian Knopp. My dad was Otto Knopp.
My name is Caroline Knopp, and my dad was Otto Knopp.
Otto Knopp was a major U of L football star, linebacker, and center for the Cardinals 1949 to 1952. The St. X grad who never played for Bryant was also a favorite of the Bears. Yes, the Kentucky coach had respect.
He was greeted very much with open arms by Bear Bryant. I actually witnessed in a room where he would come up and they would shake hands. Otto, how you doing? Good to see you.
In the 1970s, Bear Bryant reunions for his Kentucky players were held right here in Louisville. My dad, seen here in the red pants, standing next to Bryant, Joe Cook, and U of L's Otto Knopp were the planners of the reunions, having the then Alabama coach flown here to play golf.
He loved these guys, and he appreciated everything they did.
All to tell those well-worn stories again in that voice that played out on ABC Sports so many afternoons.
We've been playing like we're afraid we'd hurt somebody, hurt their feelings or something.
Rewind to the late 40s and 50s. Bryant spent a lot of time right here recruiting on the football field at Manual High School.
So Johnny Unitas was here.
Johnny and I played on this field.
Wow. And of course, a lot of Thanksgiving Day games here.
Oh yeah, Manual.
I mean, we're sitting on a field where Bear Bryant walked. I mean, what runs through your mind on that?
To know that he was here recruiting people, it's pretty incredible.
So as Mark Stoops is now 2 wins away from tying the legendary coach's all-time win record at Kentucky, I got everyone together to tell some of those Bear Bryant stories.
Always classic outfits. You know, the high-waisted pants, polyester, always.
That had a lot of 70s written on it right there.
Oh, it's so great.
John Cook remembers talking to his 90-year-old grandmother about his dad and, of course, her son, Joe.
And I said, isn't it something that Dad played for Bear Bryant? And she said, I wasn't a big fan of his. He was kind of mean to Joe, and she was looking at it from her mother's perspective, said that Bear came in the house one time and said, you've got to learn how to cook better. Put some weight on him or he's not going to make it. So she just took that to heart.
So, in our dad's case, he didn't talk a lot about football plays and football games. It was always about Otto Knopp or Harry Jones or the guys that he played with. And, I think that's what meant the most to him.
Brian Knopp will never forget the trip on a leap of faith to Bryant's very last bowl game as the Alabama coach, the Liberty Bowl played in Memphis. He's with his brother, Otto Jr., his dad, Otto, the U of L star, and former UK player Nick Odlevac. They had no tickets. Bryant had just told them, just show up.
We're in the hotel lobby with all these Alabama fans.
And here's the scene of that bowl game at the hotel in Memphis, in this video given to us by the Bear Bryant Museum.
We're out front with all these Alabama fans, and then Bear Bryant sees my dad and he sees Nick. He goes right through the crowd, right through the state troopers and everybody. He opens up his coat and he goes, Otto, Nick and Otto, here's your tickets. And these Alabama fans are looking at it like, who the heck are you all?
After that game, Bryant told a story about an ice-cold Liberty Bowl he once coached.
It was the half. This is true. Some of them are probably in here. I didn't want to go back out. I asked a volunteer to start the second half.
My dad always said as players they couldn't stand Bryant, but then truly loved him afterwards.
Those guys had double sessions on Christmas Day before a bowl game. They thought they might be off. No, they practiced twice, full pads. And I think he ran them to death. I think when you go through all that with these players, he probably ran several off.
And he did run some of them off. Here's one of my dad's favorite stories.
My dad and Steve Meilinger had a great game. And they thought they were everything. They thought they were the UK team. Forget all these other players they had played. And so team meeting comes the next day. They're in an auditorium and my dad and Steve Meilinger decide to put their feet up on the stage.
Oh.
We were waiting for Bear Bryant to walk out. He comes out, he sees their feet on the stage, doesn't say a thing, looks out in the audience, and he says, "Looks like I chased away the thoroughbreds and I kept the mules."
So what about Bryant's records so close to falling? The consensus?
Our dad, your dad, they played for UK back in the day when they were going to Cotton Bowls and Sugar Bowls and everything else, and so I think he wants nothing but success. He's sat through quite a few 2 and 9s and 3 and 8s or whatever it is, so I think he's thrilled.
I know that our dad would be thrilled that the record was going to be broken because it means that the Cats are still winning in the modern era, and I think that's what he always wanted.
Why he's so remembered is because of how he coached and who he was, and he was a character.
But now they're all gone, and with them, those original, possibly embellished stories. My dad, number 87 at Kentucky, died in 2018, ironically just 2 weeks after turning 87. He died 2 weeks before Kentucky's last trip to the Citrus Bowl. Joe Cook died in 2014. Louisville Hall of Famer Otto Knopp gone way too early at the age of 56 in 1987. That's why we still celebrate their fun times.
I loved it. It was a lot of action. It just was excitement.
And the memory of a coach who we can only guess by history would cheer on the next legacy at UK. Immortalized in Louisville with photos that tell quite a story.